Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about some pretty big Zelda movie news, which I do also believe indeed has implications for the widely reported Ocarina of Time remake as well. So we have official news straight from Nintendo about the movie, we also have leaks of actual castings, and looking at this information, it does seem to be supporting the idea that there's going to be a bigger push for Ocarina of Time in the coming months. And so what are the implications of that? Well, that's what we're going to be diving into today. But first, a brief message. The G7 Pro 8K PC controller from GameStar and AIM Labs is one of the coolest controllers I've handled in quite a while. It's a controller designed for esports with an 8000Hz rolling rate, long-lasting drift-proof sticks, Hall effect triggers, super comfy grips, adjustable paddles, adjustable D-pad, various different analog sticks you can put in as well. This is a highly customizable controller, but I'm in love with the design. It looks so great, it feels so good to hold, and not only does it work with PC through a great wired connection, it also does come with a USB dongle to play wirelessly as well, and it is compatible with the Switch and the Switch 2 on top of that. I'm very impressed with the quality of this controller. It's certainly a fun time, so I strongly recommend checking it out with the link in the description below. So yesterday evening, we got a message from Shigeru Miyamoto through Nintendo's official Twitter account, and here they provided an English version. This is Miyamoto. I would like to let you know that the worldwide theatrical release date for the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda has been moved up to April 30th, 2027 from May 7th. The team is working hard to deliver the film to everyone as soon as possible. There's less than a year to go until release, so thank you for waiting. So the movie is now going to be coming 1 week sooner. This is kind of awesome. This is exciting. The movie, in a sense, has been somewhat undelayed. Yes, that's right. This is not the first time they've changed the date for the movie. Going back to last year, we actually initially had a release date of March 26th in 2027 for the Zelda movie, but they had to delay it to May 7th. So it's interesting to see all this fluctuation with the movie. It's all relatively minor, but now that filming has been completed as of a few weeks ago, and they're now in the thick of putting everything together, they are providing to us a date of April 30th. And so you know what that means? We are closer to 11 months than 12 months away from the release of the live-action Zelda movie. And as we get closer and closer, there's going to be more and more information we learn about this movie. Eventually, Nintendo's going to start to promote the movie. And by promote the movie, I don't just mean tweets like this, but I mean like an actual trailer. I assume that's going to happen in the second half of the year, as part of Zelda 40th anniversary celebrations, which would be very similar to how Nintendo has handled Mario anniversary celebrations, where the movie is a big part to the celebration. And I've made note of this already, but ever since the Mario movie came out, we have been seeing more and more Zelda announcements. Like, we got all those new interviews from Monolith Soft about their work with Tears of the Kingdom, and we learned that they were actually a lot more involved than many of us had initially thought. But just earlier this week, we also got information about a Zelda amiibo that's coming out on September 30th. Minoru's Construct amiibo. As you see here, there are some images. Like, it's a little thing, but it is a pretty significant amiibo that will provide you a glider that can glow in the dark. And while it's coming out later this year, I think what's also interesting is that they announced this as part of the 3-year anniversary to Tears of the Kingdom, which is cool. A little bit of anniversary celebration there, but also I think the bigger deal being that we're kind of seeing this ramp up of Zelda announcements. Like, yeah, Nintendo just gave us official information about the Zelda movie, but we go back to a week ago, we were talking about a lot of imagery that's come out from after the filming of the movie from different people. And we'll be circling back to that here, because I think when you line some of that up with what we've just learned regarding some castings in the movie, there are some pretty interesting implications. So getting to that, we have learned about a couple more actors in the live-action Zelda movie. I may be pronouncing the name wrong here, but I'm going to attempt to get it right. Albert Latel Lakepa. We have learned This person, according to this casting site right here, is going to be playing the role of a Goron in the Zelda movie. Now, as you see here, it's no longer listed. They took it down, but here's a screenshot. This was initially on the site, but once people found out and started talking about it, it was buzzing, it was taken down. By the way, Umami, the provisional name, is the name they were using around set for the Zelda movie. So yeah, Umami is for the live-action Zelda movie. But this confirms Gorons are going to be in the movie. And just considering the look of Albert here and his build, I can see him definitely playing like a burly, strong Goron, for sure. But then we also have Evelyn Towersey. As you see here, you also can no longer see that she was listed for the Zelda movie, but we have the screenshots, we have the receipts. They also hid this as well. This is information about the movie that they did not want out there, but this girl is in the movie, and she's playing the role of a character named Fado. And this is very interesting because Fado is actually one of the Kokiri children in Ocarina of Time. So we are very likely seeing the return of the Kokiri in Ocarina of Time. This is as close as confirmation as we're going to get before Nintendo confirms it themselves or Sony Pictures. And it does make sense to have children playing the Kokiri because the Kokiri are children. Now, sort of children, they're technically always stuck in the form of a child, so they may have been around for many, many years. But this is the look, so it does make sense, and it's exciting to think about. The Kokiri are coming back. I'll point out that when we did bring up some of that imagery that came out from the filming a week or so ago, we saw this image right here, and I theorized that this meant we would be seeing the return of the Kokiri by looking at these two different characters here that look very much like Kokiri, garbed in green. We even see the green stone, the green spiritual stone of the forest. So it does seem like they're keeping in line with a lot of Ocarina of Time themes. You even see the fairy here as well. So you have the Kokiri, the spiritual stones, the fairies. All that seems to be returning in the live-action Zelda movie. And so from a story perspective, there's going to be an interaction there with the Kokiri. Perhaps they are going to use this as the origin for Link in the movie, very similar to how it happened in the game Ocarina of Time. I do not believe this means that the movie is going to be a retelling of Ocarina of Time. It's just a possibility here. Maybe they don't even do quite that. But the Kokiri, the spiritual stones, the fairy, that does feel like there's a high likelihood that that's going to be in the movie here, and they will be major story components. Like, you look at Princess Zelda, like, they have a depiction of Princess Zelda here. She's garbed in blue. She actually has more of a look that's perhaps more reminiscent of Princess Zelda from Breath of the Wild. So I think it's more fair to consider this is going to be an amalgamation, but going back to these Ocarina of Time elements certainly gets us thinking about the reported remake. We've been theorizing about the game for many years, and I have thought it has made so much sense for Nintendo to go and do this. Then there were the rumors, now we have the reports, and with the latest big leak from Nate the Hate and VGC and others about Star Fox opening up this summer, that information also came alongside the Ocarina of Time remake, with Star Fox now having been confirmed, and we also had heard about Splatoon Raiders. The leak is looking stronger than ever before, and considering everything else we talked about regarding this Ocarina of Time remake, it just makes so much sense. And when you think about this movie that's going to have these Ocarina of Time elements, that's coming out April 30th of the next year now, a little bit sooner. We are getting closer to that point where Nintendo's going to start to promote the movie, but they're going to promote the movie alongside this Ocarina of Time remake game that we are hearing is coming out sometime later this year, presumably around the holiday period. I'm going to predict November because that is when we've seen major Zelda games come out, when they're being saved for that time of the year. And so just thinking about the movie and this game as the two main centerpieces for celebrating Zelda's 40th anniversary, I think we're in for a very special time here as Zelda fans. Now, Nintendo has been very quiet about their upcoming releases, more quiet than usual. They've taken longer to announce their next announcements, but usually they give us a full picture of the year in the summertime. We're now halfway through May. June is right there. The thought has been June is when we get the big reveals, presumably in a bigger Nintendo Direct. I understand there's even more rumblings of a partner showcase now. Maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't happen. I'm not sure. But I'll also say, when we look at the big anniversary periods, every 5-year increment for Zelda, we usually see the most announcements for the anniversary in June. And so maybe what we get is a direct mini partner showcase in this month of May, if there's any meat to these rumors here, or these whispers, because no one's like coming out and saying 100% for sure a partner's happening right now. So it could just be that something's brewing and that's where they're leading, but maybe in a few weeks, like, no, it's a big direct. Anyway, either there's no partner, or if it's just a mini, I could still definitely believe us getting a big June direct. And even if there's not a big June direct, you look at how Nintendo's been handling things throughout the year. They've been doing things in a little bit of an unorthodox fashion. If we do get a partner showcase this month, which I would find disappointing, not because I wouldn't want to see more third-party games, but because it would imply there wouldn't be a big general the month afterwards, maybe Nintendo could still turn around and have like a big Zelda 40th anniversary presentation that includes updates on the movie and the Ocarina of Time remake. Or maybe that would be too soon to give us a trailer for the movie. Maybe they want to wait a little bit later into the year to talk about all the Zelda things, and so that's maybe why we don't get a bigger direct in June. They wait a little bit later into the summer. But then I consider another possibility, that maybe they wouldn't want to reveal the remake, the actual game we're going to play as a big Zelda release for this year, in the same presentation as the movie. Maybe they would want to keep them separate, so maybe we still get like that big presentation that shows off the game this summer, and then they'll give us an update on the game closer to release later in the year, maybe September, where we usually get some kind of big direct presentation, and that's where we see the movie trailer, which would make more sense and would be more in line with the timing of the Mario movies. They give us updates around that time, and they promote it for the next half year when it comes out early on in the year, and the Zelda movie is on a very similar timeline here. But before closing out, I want to ask you all listening a question. I'm very curious on how you think this might be handled. Because Zelda is a video game, right? It's easy to understand how they could handle like a forest temple or some kind of other dungeon in a game. But it's a lot harder to imagine how they might do that in an interesting way in a movie. So if there's going to be this quest to explore different dungeons and collect secret stones and such, as we're kind of seeing hints for, how are they going to handle that in an interesting way? Like, if the movie is just a dungeon crawler, that wouldn't be very fun, right? Not for the viewing of a movie. They would have to handle things a bit differently. You would need characters involved. There would need to be a story being told. Now, there's been rumors that maybe they treat this like a trilogy, so we're not going to go through 9 dungeons in one movie. But I also do feel like maybe more than one dungeon at a time will be explored. We'll see. But just considering how they might handle one dungeon, in my mind, I kind of envision it as kind of like episodic. Like when you go to Kokiri Forest, maybe you hear about some sort of great threat. And so you go to the Deku Tree, but you don't go to the Deku Tree alone. You have a Kokiri that tags along. Maybe this would be Saria. And so if you have Saria going alongside of you, and if maybe Princess Zelda is also coming along as well, and maybe there's a fairy, then you have multiple characters together entering this dungeon, or perhaps literally inside the Deku Tree, to solve a problem. And so it's easier to tell a story when you have multiple characters involved, and there's a talking and conversation that's going on there. Or perhaps another element to these dungeons is that they could be treated as trials, and so there are plenty of movies where there are multiple trials, and they really focus on the character solving the situation and making that interesting. And so a combination of those elements, doing it a couple times within a movie, I think could work well. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.